Welcome to the special meeting of the Cape Coral City Council. Today is September 25th, 2025. This meeting now comes to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Gunter,
Here.
Council Members Donnell,
Here.
Kaduke,
Here.
Kilrain,
Here.
Lastra,
Here.
Lehman, Long,
Here.
Steinke,
Here.
all present.
Okay, thank you. Item 4 is business. 4A is ordinance 42-25. This is a continuation from our September 17th, 2025 meeting. Mr. City Manager, I know there were some things that I think council had asked to do during that meeting, and I know there was a different mobility fee schedule that was provided in the backup material for this week's meeting. Do you want to just give us a quick overview with that, and then I'll have the city clerk remind us what the motion that's on the floor actually is.
Yeah, so the fee chart that was distributed to you all earlier this week is a fee chart that is different than the previous two in the following manner. So let me explain. So the first one was a fee chart that came out of the COW that had us go to basically match the county's single-family residential, and then for commercial be just above leading market, and then had the mobility fee increasing in a straight line to get to those numbers over 4 years. The second chart that was developed was basically a statutory minimum that increased by 12.5%, fixed, non-compounded each year over the 4 years, so that at the end of the 4 years, we did not exceed the 50% of the current rate in any commercial or residential fee. The chart that you all were given this week is a chart that is basically a blend of those two. And so it would adopt the fee at the higher fee, but the implemented fee would be 12.5%, straight line, non-compounded, over the 4 years. So at the end of it, we do not exceed 50% of the current fee in commercial or non-residential. Thank you.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, could you remind us what the motion was that's on the floor?
Yes, Your Honor. When I read the motion, I'm going to follow it by the clarification made. And the motion was made by Councilmember Steinke, and it was seconded by Councilmember Long. To modify the original request and motion made by Councilmember Long, let's switch to a schedule that offers discounts over the first 4 years. Discounts he asked to be made would 62% discount in 2026, 57% discount in 2027, 52% discount in 2028, and 46% discount in 2029 from the rate of $9,996. Clarified as follows. Adoption of the September 3rd ordinance version with a corresponding table associated with a new mobility fee, with the exception that the reduction that is identified in the different years are increased so that no increase shall exceed 12.5% in years 1 through 4, and added that he compounded. At the 9,996, there is room for compounding.
Okay, thank you. With that said, I will open the floor. Councilmember Kilrain.
Thank you, Mayor. My approach on this would be going back to the recently prepared chart, which establishes the higher rate and then goes through the rates on the deep discounting, such that we have the exact same numbers as if it was a 12.5% rate at a straight line rate going forward. So the exact same numbers as was originally proposed, starting off on a basis of 9,000 $9,895. I believe that's the number. It's the number that appeared in the most recent prepared chart. And just to describe what that does for us, if we cannot, and it would invoke the extraordinary circumstance to allow us to establish that rate. By using the discount method, we can establish that rate and come up with exactly the same number, which in effect is in compliance with what we thought would align to help the builders get through the next few years from a 12.5% increase annually, so they could adapt and accommodate getting into a slightly slow ramp up into that rate. It preserves the right of future council and ask future council to opine on it in the 4th year. So no changes in the first 4 years that can increase above the 12.5%. Future councils can lower it during that time, but they can't increase over it. In the 4th year, they have to look to see, and they would have to opine on whether or not they wanted to go and use the 50% at that time. The distinction in what it does, it preserves the future capability. If we don't do this, it would require a total consent vote. All 8 votes would have to go in order to evoke the extraordinary condition at that point in time into the future. That would be a almost impossible task because we're having trouble getting 2/3 now. In order to do this, it's going to require 2/3 vote, or 6 of us up here to do it. The key, I think, for the residents to understand and for our builders to understand is that it's a blend of both worlds. It preserves the ability to go up on a slow ramp up so the builders can accommodate and adapt into a slow paced growth, but allows us the capability to have some new growth paying for new growth. If we were to not do it at this time, we're going to be locked into that low rate, and that's going to handicap and make certain that current residents will be paying for new growth to a greater proportion into the future with no ability to come back off that. So having said that, I would like to make a recommendation if the motion proposer would modify to the flat rate to accommodate on the discounting basis of the chart that was just proposed in this last week. I believe it's dated the 19th, September 19th chart, and make his motion to accommodate that conformity. And if the second would also conform to that. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Steinke.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I absolutely will do that. I think, you know, the whole purpose of having citizens give input, to have businesses give input, and for all of us to talk about these things up front is to do the best we can to bring the greatest result we can for all of our citizens and all of our city. It's happened before. We've massaged things down to the point where we get everyone's input and tried to accommodate everyone the best as we possibly can. I think that the new chart using a discount basis, I won't reiterate everything that Councilmember Kilrain said, accomplishes that. It doesn't handicap anyone. It keeps the increases in these next 4 years at that 12.5%, which was the greatest concern. But like was said, it doesn't handicap a future council to not being able to keep up with the cost of the infrastructure. 2.5 years ago, when I ran for office, infrastructure was one of my 3 foundations of running. I know the people that have just been placed on council, infrastructure was a big part of what they ran on, and traffic was a big issue. If we don't have the infrastructure, we're not going to fix the traffic. If we don't have the money, we're not going to fix the infrastructure. And with growth paying for growth, certainly the accommodation here by having the discounts in there, it does involve existing citizens contributing toward that infrastructure growth. for us to think that existing citizens won't use the safe intersections, the roundabouts, the widened roads, the turn lanes, is silly. Yes, they will. So should they contribute some? Yes. Should they contribute the majority? In my opinion, no. And so this certainly will help growth, pay for growth, allow for contribution from existing citizens as well. Keep it to 12.5% in the initial years, as was the major concerns that were brought to us both by the Realtor organization and the building industry, but then also allow 5 years from now for there to be a reevaluation at what is still needed, what has been done, what monies are going to be necessary, and another exercise like this will commence. So I am willing to amend the motion to be correspondent with the most recent discount-based chart that was put together, if the second would agree.
And the second is Councilmember Long.
I guess I need a clarification as far as the motion. It's unfortunate we're doing this again, but the chart with regards to what's the real difference? I mean, there was a lot of words with the original discussion with relation to Councilmember Kilrain. I think a lot of what he said was incorporated in the motion itself. Can we pull apart what exactly is different from what was made, the motion that's on the table versus what they're asking?
And I think the general basis, if you look at the motion, and I have it here before me, Councilmember Steinke had used actual discount percentage rates that, if you do the math, wasn't totally accurate. So I think that's why the motion is being changed to reflect the chart that was provided in this week's backup material, which shows a 12.5% increase instead of, or it shows you a discount, so there's only a flat non-compounding 12.5%.
So that was in relation to the final discussion with regards to the tail end and the compounding.
Yeah, because
it was
actually his motion was a 62% discount the first year, 57, 52, and 46. Unfortunately, if you did it in that fashion, we wouldn't meet the 12.5%.
Right, which is what he was seeking clarification for at the tail end.
And if I could, it didn't address any of the other areas that Councilmember Laster was concerned that there wasn't detail of how it would affect the commercial areas and everything else. And so that entire grid was then done so that it would be displayed what the effect would be on every single one of those mobility fees throughout the entire schedule, which we did not have at our last meeting.
Cool, perfect. Thanks for the clarification. Yeah, that's fine. The second would agree.
Okay, so the motion and the motion maker and the second agrees to the modifications to the motion that basically reflects the chart that was provided in this week's backup material. Mr. City Attorney?
Yeah, I just need to clarify the motion so that we're clear on the record. It's a motion to approve ordinance 42-25 based upon the version that's identified in the backup material that is dated September 19th, 2025, recognizing the new fee schedule with a 12.5% flat rate over years 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then also recognizing that in the extraordinary circumstances that are needed for the imposition of the higher mobility fee amounts. I just want to make sure that we're clear on that because we have 3 different versions, and the version that needs to be is for the approval of the ordinance 42-25, the September 19th, 2025 version in its entirety.
And the motion and the second agrees to that clarification?
Yes.
Your understanding?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, and I appreciate the, I guess I'll jump in here real quick and then we have one more light. I appreciate the explanation there, Councilmember Kilrain. Unfortunately, there was one aspect that wasn't mentioned that I want to make sure that we mention, it's on the record. If you read the ordinance that is provided in this week's backup material on page 3 at the very bottom under section 8, as you had mentioned, it says the mayor and city council shall review the mobility fee schedule of fees prior to April 1st, 2029. So there is a placeholder for council, a future council, whomever that may be, to have that discussion. But as a part of that discussion, if there are no other modifications that future council wants to make, that mobility fee, because we're only raising it the 50% in the next 4 years, in that fifth year, which would be in January of 30,
It'd be January 1st of the year 2030.
yes. If that particular council had no action, then automatically we would see a large spike in that fifth year. We would go right to where this particular, if it passes tonight, wherever we set that mobility fee. So that's a concern for me because there's no guarantee on what that future council may or may not do. And so in essence, just for single-family numbers, we are going to set it today. It's proposed to go to the 99.89. It'll be 37.65 in year 1, 41.84 in year 2, and 46.02 in year 4. But if there's no further action by city council, then it automatically in that fifth year will go to 99.89. So there's no guarantee what a future council may or may not do. So that's a concern that I have. So for that reason, I probably will still be a no vote tonight with what is presented here, only because of the fifth year. That's a big unknown. It could double after the 4 years, or at least that other 50%, if no council decides to act upon providing any further or future discount. So I just want to put that on the record. That's a possibility. It could happen. So that is a concern for me. Councilmember Lehman.
Yes. Mr. City Attorney, I have a question. And Mr. City Manager, whichever one of you chooses to answer it. Now, with this new chart and going with the resolution of 919, that invokes extraordinary circumstances, correct?
It does.
Okay. If we do not evoke the extraordinary circumstances, are we tying the council's hands in the fifth year?
What? Well, if you do not adopt this version.
If we do not adopt the extraordinary circumstances?
Correct, because this version right now requires extraordinary circumstances to be approved by you all for these fee amounts.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Kaduki, you haven't spoken. I'll give you the floor first.
Thank you, Mayor. And to tag on to Councilmember Lehman and to our mayor's comments, it would be a unanimous vote at that point. We need to trust our voters. All of us are elected because of the people. And in 4 years, there will be a new council because of the people. So what we are doing by invoking the extraordinary circumstances, we are giving just a majority vote, not a unanimous vote at that time. It's the flexibility for me, which is why I'm changing my vote to a yes this evening. And I would really hope that the mayor sees that we have to trust the people. It's up to them to elect the right people to make the right choice in 4 or 5 years from now. Thank you.
Councilmember Kilrain.
Yeah, City Attorney, the mayor said that it would automatically jump if the council took action to,
I said no action, if they took no action.
if they took no action, it would automatically jump? Or don't they have to take action to evoke an extraordinary condition at that point? Or
No, as it stands right now, you are authorizing an amount with the appropriate discount. What I've done in here is required the council in 2029 to review the fees by April 1. If there was no action to take place, then the amount that is identified in here, which is a calculated mobility fee on January 1 of 2030, would then be the amount that was required for
Okay,
payment.
so they would have to act to keep a reduction in reduction.
That
Okay,
is
thank you
correct.
for
There has to be
clarifying
some action taken.
that. Okay, thank you, Mayor. Just want to clarify that.
Councilmember Steinke?
Yeah, thank you. Just another couple points. Extraordinary circumstances right now does not require a majority, it requires a supermajority, which is why we need the 6 rather than the 5.
This version that has been motioned and seconded requires 6 votes in the affirmative.
Right. And lastly, I would just remind that at 2030, if in fact the council in April of 29 were to not choose to invoke additional discounts so that the fee would not go to the 99.89 number, then in 2030 that would go to the 99.89 number, which is where Lee County determined the appropriate number was 12 years prior in 2018. So even if there was not a discount invoked, that 99.89 5 years from now, we would still be 12 years behind in what was identified as the true cost of the infrastructure that we all so badly want. Councilmember Kaduk, I appreciate your comments and your concerns and your open mind. I think this is a great compromise to meet everybody's needs. Thank you.
And just to clarify, Councilmember Steinke, you said 2018 is when Lee County adopted it?
Yes.
It's 7 years.
That was what their study, it came out and said that the 99.89 was number. That's what gave us that number. That was a pull it out of the sky number for us. It had nothing to do with the study that we did in 2024 that said it was $14,000. So the 99.89 is a nebulous number that gets us closer to actually paying the costs of the infrastructure, but it certainly doesn't get us anywhere near the total cost.
Councilmember Donnell?
Yeah, just my comments are more so the philosophy that we're taking. I keep hearing about what could happen in the future, kinds of future, and I understand that respectfully. However, our job, Council, is to look at the data that's presented and make that which is most applicable for the times now. And just practically speaking, if we want to go there, which I'm out of my comfort zone, we start talking about the future. But now that the building community is aware of what's going to happen, I can assure you that they're going to be here in 1929, 4 years from now, and they're going to make sure that the council makes an action, practically speaking. So that's going to be talked about. What council does is another conversation. But the idea of it not gaining traction and having these dialogues with the community, that's going to happen for sure. But again, I don't want to get into forecasting. The data here is clear, and the data we hear is behind, which is why I'm going to be supporting option 3. Thank you, that's all.
Councilmember Lehman?
Yeah, quick question, Mr. City Attorney. At any time during the 4 years, if the extraordinary circumstances is on board, can the council at any time in the 4 years change those discounts?
You cannot increase them, you can decrease them.
We can decrease them, we cannot increase them.
You are locking in these monetary amounts for the mobility fees for 4 years unless you want to go lower.
Okay, and then in the 5th year, with extraordinary circumstances, they can be continued. The 12.5% can be continued, correct?
You would do that in the 4th year to ensure that in January 1 of the year 2030, you can provide whatever discounts you want to do.
So it can be changed in
To answer your question,
20.
you can continue on with the discounts.
we can continue on,
If that is going to be the will of the council,
the
yes.
same discounts.
Correct. If that is what you wanted to do for the next 4 years, you can in fact do that.
But the discounts that are there basically are etched in stone. They can't be done away with in the next 4 years?
You can increase the discounts, but you cannot decrease the discounts.
Okay,
In other words, what is there right now, the fee will not be higher. It could be lower if you decide to decrease the amount of that fee, which would mean an increase of the discount.
okay. But we can't increase the fees.
You cannot increase it. No, ma'am. You're locking these in for the next 4 years.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Laster, you haven't spoken. I'll give you the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. I hadn't really planned on speaking. I don't think my position has changed, even reviewing these charts, the new chart. You know, even with hotel rooms, you're looking at $1,000 increase per hotel room in year 5, and I just have I have a difficult time wrapping my head around year 5. That just seems like a very large increase, and I would be much more comfortable with more of an incremental increase happening over a longer period of time. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Kilrain?
Yeah, let me just go back to the basics. We looked at the foundation for the impact fee and/or the mobility fee. We identified that safety and capacity were two key elements. In our last MPO meeting that looked at a look ahead of 5 years, we identified 160 million of solid capacity projects, of which traffic circles and intersections, the impact of those were only not very much included in there for those. We know that they're going to be big numbers. We can theoretically see over the next 5 years in excess of $200 million that's going to be required for capacity based on the impact of new structures coming in. That establishes the basis under which we do it. One of the measures that was talked about in there, if we didn't have the money to do these, and I'll give you an example, in there was already talked about Andalusia extension. We were looking at making it 4 lanes. Well, the accommodation that we would do is continue at 2 lanes. What does that do? It pushes 4 lanes into the future. Look what happened on UEP when we stutter stepped from 2022 to 2024. We increased the cost to do that significantly. Building costs are not going down, especially for asphalt that's out there, as I mentioned last time. Plus, time is a killer when there's inflation around. The higher the inflation, the more impact time has. Looking forward in time, it's not going to be any less cheap than it is today to build these roads. So I think that there's a lot of emphasis in there to getting as much money up front on this thing that's reasonable to accommodate our building and real estate people so that they don't have sticker shock in being able to continue the development that we're doing, but also to start picking up on that portion that's necessary to accommodate the new growth. Even it's going to be smaller than we would like it to be, it's going to less burden the current residents and put the burden of a larger burden of requirement for that cost on the new developers, on the new people coming in. So that's the foundational basis for this. That's where the rubber meets the road. That's where the cost is, so to speak. No pun intended.
Thank you. Councilmember Cadute?
Thank you, Mayor. For me, it's really not tying the hands of the future councils. It really boils down to, we are here this evening again because for 19 years this fee hasn't been touched. And if we don't adopt the extraordinary circumstances, we have to go to a unanimous vote. That will never happen. Here we are, 8 of us, and we can't even get 6 of us to agree. And you think in the future we're gonna have 8 people say, yes, it has to happen? We must do this tonight. I really think we're thinking about the people, and we are giving the industries, builders and the realtors, the time to plan. They can see exactly what's coming down the road, and they will be courting the next council and know what fees are gonna come. So therefore, I'm going to represent the people, the hundreds, maybe even thousands of emails that we received over the last week, and protect the people. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's important to mention some of the previous meetings too, and what was actually on the table. You know, in our meeting on 9/3 when we started this, we were setting the rate at the same rate that's in here today, but how we were getting there was over a 4-year period, and just use the residential was the easiest number to use because there's so many commercial numbers. But at that time, to get to the 99.89, it was going to be a $1,623 each year increase, and at the 4th year, you would be at the 99.89. In our meeting on 9/17, the chart that was provided was the same chart that the Lee BIA, the Cape Coral Construction Industry, and the Chamber of Commerce agreed to. And I don't believe their positions have changed, any of the individuals that I've spoken to or received emails from. They still support only a 12.5% increase each and every year, including that 5th, 6th, and 7th year. So their position hasn't changed. And what we had on the table on 9/17 was just that. We didn't invoke extraordinary circumstances. We incorporated in the chart a 12.5% increase with no more than 50% in a 4-year period, and then it still left council the opportunity to follow state statute, and they could continue that 12.5% over a 4-year period over and over again. What we are here today to do is to invoke the extraordinary circumstances, set the fee, and only give a 4-year discount. And then, like I said before, the 5th year is an unknown. That's not what Lee BIA, the Cape Coral Construction Industry, or the Cape Coral Chamber of Commerce recommended. So I will stand by their recommendations and what my vote was in the past, where we do not invoke the extraordinary circumstances. So that's probably my last opportunity to speak on the matter. Councilmember Lastra.
Thank you, Mayor. Probably going to be my last time to speak too. Councilmember Kaduka, I hear what you're saying, and I guess I look at it a little bit differently. I look at it as one of the things that we always cry about during election season, annually, with economic development, both, here within our city and in Lee County, is that we need to increase, especially in Cape Coral, our commercial tax base. And to me, with that exorbitant of an increase happening in year 5, that's going to deter that potentially. And to grow that commercial tax base, commercial development will have to want to be here. And I guess for me, I think that if we did a more structured approach in terms of a longer time period than 5 years, I would feel much more comfortable with that, because then I feel like we would have a lot more time to plan, especially for those future developments that we already have coming, like Seven Islands and Hudson Creek. So, I would just feel much more comfortable if we could spread it out longer than that 5-year time frame. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Kilrain.
Yeah, spreading it out over a longer period of time does nothing more than increase the cost when you're going to do it. There's inflation, and it is exponential. If you pass it past many years, 5, 6, 7 years, you're getting an exponential numbers of cost increase to do the same project. The other point is, what's going to happen on this, if we don't pass it through a mobility fee, we're going to look at raising the ad valorem tax to accommodate it. So what that does, that comes back, and every resident, even those residents who are already paid for infrastructure in their area, will be paying for all that new growth. Let's face it, by doing it that way, it's going to be on the residents. It's not going to be on new growth. It's going to be on current residents picking up a larger portion of the cost than the new residents. And that's as basic as you can say it. We're hurting new residents for the sake of the new growth because we're limiting the ability in any future year to have a higher rate. Thank you.
Councilmember Kadook.
Thank you. On Councilmember Lastra's points, we also incentivize commercial to come here, and that's what the incentives are for. We've been the cheapest in the area this entire time, and they're not knocking on our door to come build. So I just don't see what we're so hesitant about, especially when we're looking into the future. And also on the mayor's point, I thought we were big on home rule, but now we're looking to the state to preempt us, and we're just gonna follow what the state's telling us, and the state is doing us no favors. I mean, we had to beg just to get reservoir money, so I don't know. I'm still with the people on this one. Thank you.
Councilmember Stanky?
Thank you, Mayor. Just one comment as it relates to extraordinary circumstances. We've heard it bantered about here, and, you know, extraordinary, the word extraordinary is absolutely a subjective word. In this case, extraordinary circumstances is not subjective. It's not 8 people's opinion on whether we're in extraordinary circumstances or not. It's literally an objective evaluation that says you must do a study, and this box checked, this box checked, and this box checked says you are in extraordinary circumstances. So that, no, we didn't ask anybody's opinion on this, and that opinion is not being asked of any one of us up here. It's simply the legislation that we are ruled by, to mention, you know, state preemption, says that if you're going to claim extraordinary circumstances, these boxes have to be checked. And those boxes have been checked. We are in extraordinary circumstances. This is not an opinion vote. It's a do we want to use what's available, that the state made available to us, or not. Thanks.
Councilmember Long?
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Mayor. I was actually had my button pressed before Councilwoman Kadouk. I was going to say mostly what she said. I guess just to counter respectfully to the 2 points that were raised in opposition to the motion. With regards to the commercial growth, again, just to kind of reiterate is well, yeah, they're not here. So we've had this reduced rate. So you're afraid to raise it to the rate that everyone else is paying around us. So then what we're effectively saying is, well, I don't think that the developers are going to come to Cape Coral unless we give away the farm, when they're, and all of our counterparts paying the same rates or more. And that's not something that I agree with. We see the development now. We will continue to see the development. I think the opportunities that are here in Cape Coral are going to incentivize those commercial bases, regardless of where we set these fees, which again are at the very minimum in relation to our direct counterparts. And then just to the mayor's point, you know, he went on about how we got here and who established the fees, and we've got letters in support of basically the bare minimum, which is the 12.5% bare minimum in relation to the discussions that we've been having. And he cited that, you know, this isn't what the builders want, this isn't what the realtors want, this isn't what the chamber wants. But for me, and I think that's what Councilmember Kadouk was getting to, is, well, what do the people want? And so we've all received, I imagine, the 100, 200 emails of citizens uninterested in any of the four mentioned groups that support strongly the exact motion that's on the table now. And so for that reason, I would encourage you guys to support the motion. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no other lights on, we have a motion and a second on the floor, basically to invoke extraordinary circumstances, set the fees at the chart that was provided in our backup material this week. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Donnell?
Aye.
Gunter?
No.
Kadouk?
Aye.
Kilrain?
Aye.
Lastra?
No.
Lehman? No. Long? Aye. Steinke?
Aye.
5 ayes, 3 nays, motion failed.
Okay, we'll move on to the next item of the agenda. We have speed camera report that I believe is going to be provided by the city attorney. Mr. City Attorney, I'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. We're going to have somebody from the office read the report that we have here. Go ahead if you would, Josh. And
Good
it's-
afternoon,
and
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Joshua Frederickson, Assistant
One
City.
moment, Josh. And then afterwards, per the statute, we have to have public comment as well, if there's any,
On that particular topic.
on that particular topic. only.
Okay, all right.
Good evening, or good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, Joshua Frederickson, Assistant City Attorney. And as the City Attorney mentioned, pursuant to state law, we will read a written summary of the school zone speed enforcement annual report. The annual report in its totality was provided in the backup. Pursuant to Ordinance 3924 and Sections 316.07763 and 316.189616 Florida statutes, the city provides the information and statistics required to be read aloud for the annual speed detection system report. The City of Cape Coral Speed Zone Annual Report as of September 8, 2025. Notice of school zone speed detection system violations were issued at the following locations from April 28th, 25 to June 3rd, 25. Ida S. Baker High School at 3500 Agualinga Boulevard, Challenger Middle School at 624 Trafalgar Parkway, Diplomat Middle School at 1039 Northeast 16th Terrace, Mariner Middle School at 425 Chiquita Boulevard North, Trafalgar Middle School at 2120 Trafalgar Parkway, Cape Elementary at 4519 Vincennes Boulevard, Diplomat Elementary School at 111.5 Northeast 16th Terrace, Gulf Elementary School at 3400 Southwest 17th Place, Oasis Charter Elementary School North at 2817 Southwest 3rd Lane, Patriot Elementary School at 711 Southwest 18th Street, Pelican Elementary School at 3525 Southwest 3rd Avenue, Skyline Elementary School at 620 Southwest 19th Street, Trafalgar Elementary at 1850 Southwest 20th Avenue, Heritage Charter Academy of Cape Coral at 2107 Santa Barbara Boulevard, St. Andrew's Catholic School at 1509 Southeast 27th Street, Thrive Academy of Cape Coral at 3221 Chiquita Boulevard South, Cape Coral Christian School at 811 Santa Barbara Boulevard. Notice of school zone speed detection system violations were also issued for the following locations from June 6th of 25 to July 18th of 25, the end of summer school. Oasis Charter Elementary North at 2817 Southwest 3rd Lane, Oasis Middle School at 3507 Oasis Boulevard, Gulf Elementary at 3400 Southwest 17th Place, Cape Elementary at 4519 Vincennes Boulevard, and Diplomat Elementary School at 1115 or 1115 Northeast 16th Terrace. From April 28, 25 to July 31st, 25, the following results were obtained. The statistics as of September 3rd and September 8th of 25. There were 11,824 notices of violations issued. 9,336 notices of violations were paid. 120 were either contested or are scheduled at hearings. 30 of the contested violations have been upheld after hearing. 14 were dismissed after hearing. There are 1,503 violations that are issued as uniform traffic citations. 621 were pending to be uniform traffic citations, and 3,137 violations were dismissed. From April 28, 2025 to July 31st, 2025, the city has received payment for 9,336 violations of the school zone speed detection system program, which were distributed as follows. The city of Cape Coral received $536,720. Of that amount, $187,852 went to the city's vendor Red Speed pursuant to our contract with them. $44,835 went to the school crossing guard recruitment and retainment program. $179,340 went to the Florida Department of Revenue General Fund, or the Florida Department of Revenue General Fund, yes. And then $26,901 went to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, Criminal Justice Standards and Training Trust Fund, $107,604 to Lee County School District, and the total program receipts were $896,750. In addition to that, the city expended $44,835 earmarked for the city's school crossing guard program on the administration of the same. The remaining $368,868 in proceeds from the violation must be used to administer speed detection systems in school zones and other public safety initiatives. And as of September 16, 2025, the city has spent $30,872.67 out of this fund on employee salary related to the administration of the speed detection system through the review and issuing of violations. The remaining funds have been segregated from our general fund and will be utilized on programs identified that aren't consistent with the statute. And that is the written summary of the report. Thank you for your time.
Anything else to add, Mr. City Attorney?
That is it, other than we are required for the public comment. Thank you, Josh.
All right, so I'll open up public comment only on this specific topic only, the speed cameras. So if anyone wishes to speak on this topic only, please come forward. podium to my left, your right. Please remember to state your name for the record.
Okay, my name is John Nyland. I live on the Southwest Cape, and we only became aware of these speed zone tickets, as a matter of fact, of summer school. So I get when the children are going in and out of the schools. I totally get that. You got your flashing lights on, and that goes right down to whatever the speed zone limit is for that school zone. What I don't understand, there's no police officers involved, and that thing can go off anytime at a set limit speed for the roadway when school children are in the school. They're not going to or from the school. So when I talked to the person in charge of the cameras, they said that, well, it doesn't matter if the lights are flashing or not. If you're going more than 10 miles over the limit on that road, you're going to get a ticket. And I was just curious if you knew about that or if that was something in the fine print. So to me, that's the job of the Cape Coral Police, to hand out citations, not a camera. If the camera was put up for the safety of the children, this has nothing to do with the safety of the children. So I'd like you to revisit this and talk about this and find out exactly what's going on, because when I heard the numbers, the vast majority is going elsewhere from the school programs. And you're getting enough to pay for the crossing guards, et cetera. I mean, we're talking $44,000. So all this extra is probably tickets that aren't during that time period where the lights are flashing. Because when the lights are flashing, I see everybody slowing way down. So you need to revisit this, because it's not right. You expect it during the school zone when it's flashing. You don't expect it when it's not. And nobody knows when summer school goes to. We were told that they were in summer school until July 17th. We don't have any kids, so we don't know that. I mean, our kids are grown and gone. But the point being, it was an elementary school. And I don't know of anybody who goes to summer school in an elementary school. So again, take a look at it, please. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My name is Brian Bradley. I'm a resident of Cape Coral in the southeast section. For the last 4 years, I've been driving through St. Andrew's School Zone, and when the flashers are flashing, I slow down. Last year, I got 2 tickets, and I know darn good and well those flashers weren't flashing. The second ticket that I got last year, the school had already been let out. It was no longer in session. So I assume the cameras were set up for the public school system, not the private school system. This year I got another one right after the beginning of the school year, and I know that camera or those flashers weren't flashing. I just got another one in the mail yesterday for at 3:13, I believe, and I decided I'm going to take a video of this. And I have video at that exact time when those flashers are not flashing. Now granted, the school zone is till 3:30. I drove through at 3:13. I was going the street speed limit of 30. So there is a problem with that particular school zone and that flasher. I don't know exactly what the rule is. I just came from the police department trying to find out what the rule is. You know, whether the flashers, whether they're working or not, if it's posted, if it's still a school zone, I don't know. So, but I think there is an issue with this. And so I will probably be contesting this one since I got video of it, but the other one that I got this year already paid off. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak during citizen input on the school camera system? Come on up, sir.
Hi, my name is John Ambrosio. I live in Cape Coral. I live in Emerald Cove. I'm the Board of Director President.
If you would, sir, just kind of move the mic here so you're a little closer so we can hear you.
Is that okay?
Yes, sir,
Okay.
thank you.
Again, from Emerald Cove, I'm a Board President, and we are right in the midst of 4 schools, all the 3 on Skyline and then 1 on Trafalgar Challenger. And we do have some problems in navigating through the system. I had spoken to our city attorney regarding the lights flashing. And he had instructed me at the meeting that we had with Joe Kilrain and the city attorney, and he said that these signs trumped the flashing lights in terms of being the indicator of when you were in the school zone exactly. Now, I've spoken to almost 101 homes in terms of our community size, and they're all under the premise that the lights flashing is what they have to be looking for. I do see that the signage, specifically on Skyline, is somewhat confusing. When you're introduced to the signs in the school zone area, you have a sign that states 4 different openings and closing of a school. I did speak with Mike Gilambardo personally, and he was going to take a trip down through the gauntlet, and he did. He still has not gotten back to me on his particular opinion of it, but today, or yesterday, the news had a report and a reporter right at the Skyline Point with all the signage that was there, and pointed out that those signs were somewhat confusing in that, approaching them with those 4 particular openings and closing is, I would imagine, not completely clear. Under the premise that the city attorney gave me, that, and I'm sure he's right, by state statute, that the signs are the major indicator. My suggestion at that point with that meeting was to make it quite clear, less signage, and the opening one would say entering school zone, you are entered into the school zone, and the speed limit is 20 miles an hour, period. And then once you've gotten to the end of the school zone, then you'll be free to drive the posted speed limit. I think that confusion that exists is paramount to everybody's belief in the way they're driving. They become less effective as drivers in not knowing for sure whether it's lights flashing or it is the actual sign upon entering the school zone. And there are signs that kind of give you the idea that you're entering the school zone, but nothing definitive.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else wishing to speak during citizens' input on speed camera program? Seeing none, citizens' input is now closed. Before I open up, Mr. City Attorney, to council, I think there's a little bit of a misconception exactly how the program works as far as the hours of operation when the lights are actually flashing. Each zone has a particular reduction in that speed limit, and that could vary depending upon the location throughout the city. The time could also vary throughout the city. And then I think it's important to mention what happens other than those times, how that speed camera program is operating, because I think there's a little bit of misconception there of all these factors. So could you maybe try to summarize that for us?
Sure. So during both drop-off and pickup, there's a reduced speed. Now, to be clear, Florida statute does permit the flashing yellow light. However, the signage supersedes that, and the city has installed that signage that identifies when those reduced hours are for dropping the children off and for picking those children up. In those circumstances where there is in fact a reduced speed, if you are exceeding that speed by at least 11 or more, you are then subject to a violation. When you're outside of those reduced speed hour times in the morning and the afternoon, there is a posted speed limit for each road. You are prohibited under the Florida statute from exceeding the posted speed limit by 11 miles or more, and you are then also subject to receiving a violation for exceeding that speed in that school zone.
And it's my understanding the flashing light, as far as Florida statute, there's a specific time, like 90 minutes before school, 90 minutes after, or whatever the time frame is. That's when the flashing lights are operable.
Yes, and to ensure that we are in compliance with statutory law, because we are, of course, subject to mechanical malfunctionings of the electrical system, we've made certain that there is signage installed, and pursuant to Florida statute, you're right, Mayor, there is a time before that that does, in fact, authorize the reduced speed. So not only do we have the signage which controls, but also there's the flashing yellow light. However, if the flashing yellow light is inoperable, the signage itself does in fact permit the issuance of a violation if you are in fact exceeding the speed during those reduced speed times.
All right, thank you. Council members, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad that got brought up, because I think that, what we're talking about in a school zone, the school zone that I go through every day, the speed limit is 15 miles an hour. We're talking about somebody doing 26 miles an hour in a 15-mile school zone. So they're certainly giving a good amount of leeway there, as that's concerned. The other was that a police officer should be the one that would issue a citation. Can you confirm the fact that these actually go through the police department? There is an assigned unit that deals with the camera shots and those license plates to confirm the violation before it goes out. It's not a totally automated process.
That is correct. There's several individuals within the police department that verify whether or not there's in fact a violation before a violation is issued. And then, of course, if they fail to take action on that notice of violation within the statutory period of time, then there will be a uniform traffic citation issued. As you may have heard, there are some that have been in fact issued uniform traffic citations for violating that, but it also goes through the police department. So it is not a fully automated system.
Yeah, and then there is recourse that if someone believes that they were not going at that speed, they weren't on that road, there is a way for them to contest that they were actually going 10 miles or more, 11 miles or more over the speed limit.
That's correct. Every month we in fact do hold hearings with a local hearing officer that does in fact hear anyone that may appeal their decision to determine whether or not there was in fact a violation of the law.
Okay, thank you. And then the last is just, the math confused me just a little bit on our backup material, looking at the number of violations issued and whatnot. What am I missing where we have the number of violations issued, and then if I just take two of the lines, number of violations paid and number of violations dismissed, when I look at total notices of violations, it would seem like it's either going to be dismissed, paid, or it's pending, but the numbers don't seem to.
I'm going to have Josh touch on this because it's a fluid system, and I'm going to defer to him.
As Councilmember Steinke, what's been explained to me when we pull these numbers from RedSpeed, our vendor, is that it's a dynamic situation, and essentially the numbers will change depending on when it's pulled. So they're never going to be completely matched up, is the understanding that we've been provided by our vendor.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's it. Thank you.
Councilmember Deno?
I was just thinking, Mr. City Manager, if I was looking, is there some place, because I was confused with what some of the speakers mentioned. Is there some place maybe on the website that we can explain how that works and put it out there? Is it already existing? If not, is that something we can put out so everybody has it and can, share with one another about how to traverse with these? Because ultimately, we just want to make sure that, like someone said, just make sure the kids are safe. We want to create a conundrum when it can be avoided.
Yeah, absolutely. Our police department has put out numerous social media posts, informational pieces on this, questions and answers related to this. Because if you remember, they started late from last year, and so we were able to make sure that we got that out. And there was a lot of questions at the time from residents about do they run before school? Do they run when the lights aren't flashing? You know, what are do the speed limits change? And so we have an extensive library of information out there on it.
Now, my understanding, that's separate from the city site. So is there a possibility of having a link so they don't have to go there? Because a lot of people, I know I used to use this without recreating the wheel. Is that possible?
Yeah, we can look into that if it's not already. I don't know if our the city communications deferred solely to PD, but maybe there already is. I'll verify and I'll let you all know through email.
Thank you. That's all. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Kilrain.
Yeah, thank you. Mayor, part of what I was going to ask about was on the clarification of lights versus the signs and what's controlling. In addition to that, City Attorney, if you might mention, if the issue has been that I wasn't driving the car, there's an affidavit process. Can you just go over that a little bit to just clarify that for the residents?
Yeah, and again, I want to make it very, very clear that pursuant to Florida statutory law, the sign associated with the time is what controls, so you cannot go before and say if there's proper signage that the flashing light was not flashing, therefore I should be not be liable. That is not consistent with Florida statutory law, and that's why we made certain that the correct signage and times have been placed on all approaches in all the appropriate school zones. In reference to your secondary question, there is a mechanism pursuant to Florida statutory law that if someone does not have care, custody, and control of their vehicle at the time the offense is committed, they do have the ability to submit an affidavit. That affidavit will transfer liability to the actual individual who is operating the vehicle, because as it stands right now, the registered owner is the one that is legally liable for that violation. So if and I'll give a prime example, if city manager was operating my vehicle, I would receive a violation if he exceeded the speed limit. I could then submit an affidavit and transfer liability to the actual individual who is operating that vehicle. So there is that available.
Okay, thank you. And just a couple other just comments about some of the things I've been hearing in the public arena, that it's a money grab and that type of thing. I think as demonstrated by the economics that was provided to us just recently, we collected $896,000, trickling down to what's left over for the city to apply to the school zones. We're down to $338,000. So between the state and the school system and the county picking up a lot of those fees, that's what's left for the city, and that has to be spent per statute for the school zones. It's really a behavior control mechanism and not a money-making activity. And that's about it. Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I wanted to speak on a couple of things that were mentioned. So the speed cameras do enforce the speed limit in between the lights flashing. So while school is in session and there is a likelihood for a student to be dismissed early or get sick and leave and go home, you have the likelihood of a child being present with a speeding car in front of that school zone. We all know that kids are unpredictable in their movements. And so, you know, our speeds for the most part are 45 miles an hour, which means you would have to be doing 56 miles an hour in that speed zone in order to get a ticket. If anybody thinks that's okay, then we do have a problem. But I will tell you, one of the speakers mentioned, well, that's what police are for. Well, one of the things that we often look for in government is a best management practice and a way to cut expenses. I cannot tell you how much I would have to raise the police budget to put a police officer in every school zone to enforce this speed limit. This is an extremely efficient manner to enforce those speed zones, to provide the safety for our children and the trust that our parents know this is serious for us. And from a crash perspective, just slowing a vehicle down 5 miles an hour is enough to make the difference between a survivable crash between a car and a pedestrian versus a fatal one. And so this is extremely important. You all voted for that. We have been making sure all the information gets out there. The responsibility is on the driver. They have to know how to maneuver through a speed zone. It's very similar to when you approach a traffic signal that is out. You come to a stop. If you don't, you can get a ticket. You have to know the laws. It's a privilege to be a driver. When you're going through a speed zone, a school speed zone with children who are unpredictable, slow down. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no other comments, we'll move on to the next topic. Before we get that, we'll be at citizens' input here shortly. Anyone that wishes to participate in citizens' input, you must fill out a comment card over to the table to my left near the doors when you walk in. So if you haven't filled one out and you do wish to speak, please make sure that you fill one out. Next item on the agenda, item C, is the city manager's first amended employment agreement. Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. In reference to business item 4C, in speaking with both the city manager and also in speaking with you, Mayor, as the individual that was designated to finalize the agreement, the city manager has decided to decline moving forward with any amendments to this contractual agreement. So as it stands right now, the contractual agreement that was approved back in the year 2023 will remain in full force and effect.
Thank you. Okay, with that, we'll move on to item 6.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to clarify because there was some confusion back and forth with regards to the meeting. So that would just basically be in essence that the contract as amended last year is in effect, and then so the 7.5% increase would be applied. And so then just for the 7.25%. So then just for the record, what would the annual salary be reflective of this year?
It's going to be, it's 20. Well, the 7.5 as
Yeah,
it
it was
stands right now.
$22,779.79.
Added on to what it
14 and some change.
Correct, which is a self-executing provision that has been in effect since the council approved it back in the year 2023.
So that would be roughly what? I mean, what's that figure?
336 and change.
336,000?
Yeah, and some change.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Kaduc, you're good?
Thank you, Mayor. We moved on from item 4A very quickly into 4B, so I would like to make a motion that we switch to mobility fees and we just stick with the 12.5% increase.
I don't know if you're going to,
Yeah, I didn't think that we could do that.
you can, but I just want to make sure that we have the right motion on the floor.
Motion to reconsider? Is that what?
No?
No.
That would have to.
Okay.
Let me,
To switch to mobility fees,
Give
and
me a
we are
moment.
sticking with the 12.5%.
so Councilmember Kaduc, is your motion to approve ordinance number 42-25, the version that is identified as in our backup dated September 15th of the year 2025. That version specifically complies with the current statutory provision where it mandates that the increase is at 12.5% over a 4-year period of time, and that it does not implicate the extraordinary circumstances study.
Correct, but we would be switching to mobility fees.
That's correct. That's the version that it is. But the table is only for that amount. And that
I'll
amount
second
only.
that.
One thing that I do want to ask the city attorney before I can support that. As we know, we live and abide by the ordinance and what is written in the ordinance. So when you read through this particular ordinance, 42-25, especially on page 3, and a majority of page 3, it talks about extraordinary circumstances, it talks about extraordinary population, growth, it talks about the extraordinary study that was being completed. It says in section 3, the mayor and city council find extraordinary circumstances exist. So even though we're changing the numbers, we still have all of that verbiage that's in the ordinance. So for me, I cannot support the 12.5% with the verbiage that's in the ordinance, because that's what we will be voting on. I was hoping that it was going to be brought back a new ordinance. The 12.5% I do support, but when you read page 3 of the ordinance, and then you get in the backup material, pages 1 through 17, on page 2, there's another more reference to extra. So this particular ordinance and backup material is riddled with extraordinary circumstances and verbiage in the ordinance. So for me, in order to clean this up, then a new ordinance would have to come back. Now, I know that's going to delay things a little longer, but for me, with all of the verbiage that is in the resolution, or I'm sorry, the ordinance, I'm going to have a difficult time voting in agreement because of how the ordinance is written. So I want to make sure, Mr. City Attorney, are we going to delete all of those items? To me, the better practice would be to bring it back with a new ordinance. I mean, this is the third day or the third meeting we've had on this. And even if you go back to the 9/17 meeting, the 9/17 meeting had a chart, the 12.5% that you're talking about, Councilmember Kaduc. But if you read the ordinance, it still talks about, that was presented on 9/17, it still has all this extraordinary circumstances that are delineated in the resolution, and the council is invoking that. So, I want to make sure that we're doing this right. So I agree with moving forward in that fashion, but with the ordinance, the way it's written today, and all the backup material that is mentioned, extraordinary circumstances, I'm going to have a difficult time supporting that, even though I support the concept.
You're correct, Mayor, that's in there, but it has no legal effect. And the reason why it has no legal effect is because the mobility fees that you have identified in here do not broach the 50% that's authorized in the statute. So even though it has that in there, it has no legal effect, because the monetary amount of the increase and the conversion does not ultimately apply, and therefore
We're switching to mobility fees.
Yeah.
So is there any reason why we can't bring back a new ordinance and remove all that verbiage? I understand it probably is going to take this process 4 to 6 weeks longer in order to do that, but then I think we'll have a cleaner approach. I've been here 7 years, and I can tell you we've never done anything like we have done on the mobility fees. And we're at where we are, but I want to make sure that we have a written ordinance that outlines what our intent is. I think we all know what the intent is moving forward. I just want to make sure that it's memorialized in the verbiage in the ordinance. And today it's not. So that's just where I'm at. Councilmember Long?
Yeah, the vote on the floor, given what you just said, Mr. City Attorney, I take it that we only need a majority vote?
You only need 5.
Thank you.
Councilmember Kilrain?
Yeah, I think that the requirement to have it done so quickly was the October 1st deadline.
It was extraordinary.
Because of the extraordinary circumstance to have the new fee in place before January 1. So that's eliminated now, so we could come back with a clean, can we go past October 1st?
Yes.
Still takes 90 days to implement, so if you want January 1st every year to be it, you'd have to do it.
It'll probably be like a February
Okay.
1st. That's why I said it'll probably take a little longer, but then we'll have a cleaner version.
Yeah.
Councilmember Lehman?
Yeah, the ordinance, and I would agree with you, Mr. Mayor, I don't like the extraordinary circumstances. That's what I don't like about it. Otherwise, the 12.5% across the board, I would have no problem with. So if the ordinance can be changed to alleviate the verbiage with the extraordinary circumstances, I would have no problem with that. Thank you.
Yeah, like I said, if you read page 3, there's, I don't know, probably 12, 14 paragraphs or sentences in each area. and probably over 50% of them mention extraordinary circumstances, all on page 3. Section 3, the mayor and city council find that extraordinary circumstances exist. If we're not doing that, why is that in there? It shouldn't be, based on the mobility fee. So if it's going to take an extra 30 days to clean that up and bring it back, to me, that would be the prudent thing to do. I 100% agree with Councilmember Kaduk's motion, the 12.5%, no more than 50% over a 4-year period. As Councilmember Kilrain said, since we're not invoking extraordinary circumstances, then the October 1st deadline isn't a factor. We've been trying to piecemeal this for a month. So for me, let's get it to where it needs to be in a written form, as well as the chart, you know, and I'm assuming that you're talking about the chart from the 9/17 meeting, the 12.5% that was noted in that particular meeting. So that's where I just think we need to make sure that we get to. Councilmember Laster.
Thank you, Mayor. So, Mr. City Attorney, would we need to amend the motion then to state that, that we'll bring it back once the ordinance is cleaned up from the extraordinary circumstances?
It's not necessary.
It's not necessary. We
Okay.
can vote right now, and it will be 12.5%, and it will be a mobility fee, and it will go in place January 1st.
It's undeniable that there was a study done.
Okay.
It exists, it's part of the backup. You, as a council, just decided to not go beyond the statutory amount. It happened, it exists, the backup materials have been out there. They're referenced in the ordinance, but just because they're referenced in the ordinance does not mean that you availed yourself of what is authorized to exceed that 50% over the 4-year period of time.
Okay. Council, are you finished, Mr. City Attorney?
Yes.
And before I give council member, because I'm going to ask you a question, Councilmember Kaduk, I want to give you some time to look at it. Do you have a copy of the
I have all the copies of everything.
today's resolution? If you could go to page 3 and look under section 3, and I'm going to ask you something after I give the floor to Councilmember Donnell.
Okay, so just to clarify, what you're saying is that the extraordinary circumstances that are mentioned in section 3.
On page 3, about 2.
Thank you. In here, it doesn't apply if we just do the 12.5%.
Well, my question is
across
going to
the
be,
board.
can we remove that? Can we
Thank
remove that? Could the motion maker remove that paragraph? Because that would make me feel a little more comfortable.
Which one was, I
The
apologize.
mayor
Go
and
to
city
page
council
3
find that
under section
extraordinary
3.
circumstances exist based on the mobility fee extraordinary circumstance study dated July 2025, prepared by New Urban Concepts LLC to justify setting ratings to an amount exceeding the phase-in limitations set forth in section 163.31801 Florida statutes. The thing is, we're not going past the statutory limit, which is why I'm saying it's just it's not necessary. We're making it more difficult.
Well,
Would you be willing to amend your motion to take that out?
Sure, if that would make it comfortable, but again, we only need 5 votes, and we have 5 votes.
Okay.
I didn't know you had a crystal ball, too.
Thank you, Mayor.
There's maybe next
I
week,
mean,
there's
if
a
that's
couple
the
topics.
way it goes.
Councilmember Donnell.
Yeah, I understand exactly what the mayor's point and Councilman Lastro, but the whole reason why I went through the exercise council was to see by supermajority if we were going to invoke. So since we're not, I hear you. It's just be a matter of taking it out and just to wait for a while, just to take it out with no impact, just doesn't, it's not very efficient for me. So I'm not going to die on that hill, but I will be supporting the motion as is. Just wanted to let you know where I was. That's all.
Councilmember Stanky.
Thank you. Yeah, that section, the mayor and city council find that extraordinary circumstances exist based on the mobility fee extraordinary circumstances study. That's this. So what we're saying is, and this council member is gonna say, I do find that based on this, because it is an objective evaluation. So, like the attorney said, it's in writing, it's sitting here, it's documented. We're choosing not to take advantage of it. In my opinion, I need to at least acknowledge that it exists, because it does. But the way in which this ordinance would then be put in place, we're not taking advantage of what would be allowed to take advantage of because of its existence. And that leaves us at the 12.5%. We have mobility fees that could be used for a variety of things, and we're at the 12.5%, not taking advantage of it, but at least recognizing that it does exist. So I would be voting in favor of it without pulling that out, because I can't ignore that this does exist, and that's what that section says.
Okay. That's a good argument. I guess when you read that paragraph, it doesn't say that we're invoking.
Right.
Yeah.
It just says that it exists.
That it exists. So that's a good point. Just one more thing for clarity for me, Councilmember Kadouk. Are you stating that we're going to utilize, and Mr. City Manager, you may want to weigh in on this as well, we're going to utilize the chart that was provided in the 9/17 meeting, which shows the...
There's no charts. There's no charts.
No.
We're
We're
not
just
using
going to
any
do
charts.
12.5%, no more than 50%, and then wherever that...
We're using the
based
state
on-
statute, but we're switching to mobility fees.
Wait,
Right, based on our existing impact fee.
Correct.
numbers.
Yep.
Mayor, if I may, I'm sorry. You have an ordinance that incorporates the 12.5% on a flat rate. That ordinance is ordinance 42-25 with the date of 9/15/25.
Which we have.
That accomplishes exactly what, and the chart is incorporated
There are
therein.
charts in here.
So I wanted, that's why when I clarified the motion, that it is motion to approve ordinance 42-25, identified with a backup material of September 15th of the year 2025, with that 12.5% that is statutorily authorized.
And it may be dated 9/15, but our meeting was held on 9/17, that's why I used the 9/17.
Yeah, but only because there is no reference to the 17 in the backup material, that's why I'm trying to
Okay.
avoid the confusion.
It's the same material. Okay. Any other discussion? All right. Madam City Clerk, we got a motion, second on the floor. Please call the roll.
Donnell? Aye. Gunter?
Aye.
Kadouk?
Aye.
Kilrain?
Aye.
Lastra?
Aye.
Lehman? Long?
Aye.
Steinke?
Aye.
8 ayes, motion carried.
Okay, let's move on to the citizens' input. Madam City Clerk, I think you have some comment cards.
Yes, Cheryl Pearson and Dan Shepard.
Cheryl Pearson, if you're here, please come forward. Seeing none, Mr. Shepard.
Hello, I just wanted to talk about the impact fee. I lived here for almost 30 years, and I watched the city give the store away. And, you know, I invested a lot when I first moved here. I built a very large home because when I first came here, I saw all the water and all the canals, and I said, this place is just going to skyrocket. It's going to take off. And then I don't have to tell you what happened for the last 30 years. I watched Estero, Bonita, and other areas that didn't even exist build out, finish their infrastructure, streets, street lights, beautiful landscaping, medians done. And I said, what's wrong with my community? You know, I ran for office and I was elected and I got on council and I dove into things and wanted to find out what the problem was. You know, I found out, you know, we haven't touched impact fees in almost 20 years. And the equivalent of that is that's like the city owning a general store and leaving everything on the shelf with 20-year-old prices and not caring and just saying, well, you know, the deficit will just go to the taxpayers and let them pay the bill. And that's what I see happening. And I'm really hoping for change. I don't think we have to give the store away. I think our city is leaping. We have a lot of good things happening. Just, 5 years ago, we weren't selling houses at an average of 800 to over $1 million. That was very rare. Now we have the record in Lee County for selling the most homes over $1 million. So I don't think we have to give the store away anymore. I think we have value, and we need to acknowledge that we have value and charge what we should charge. And I don't think it's right putting the burden on the citizens. So that's all I want to say, so I hope to our leaders to make the right decisions. Thank you.
Is that it?
That's all, sir.
Okay, I'll open up for any discussion for council on citizens' input. Okay, seeing none, we have a time and place of future meeting. We have a special meeting of the Cape Coral City Council. Our second and final budget hearing is today, Thursday, September 25th, 2025, beginning at 5:05 p.m. here in council chambers. We also have a special meeting of the Cape Coral City Council is scheduled for Wednesday, October 8th, 2025, beginning at 2 p.m. And it says here in council chambers, but actually I believe that's going to be in
The special meeting's in
conference room
220A.
220A. And we have a regular meeting of the Cape Coral City Council is scheduled for Wednesday, October 8th, 2025, beginning at 4 p.m. here in council chambers. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.